Hi guys, in today's video we're learning how to work out an unknown value in a math sum. Now usually when we do any sort of maths, what we tend to do is we take a couple of numbers and we do something to them, maybe adding them, subtracting them, multiplying or dividing them, and once we've done that we get an answer coming out the other side, and it's usually the answer, the thing that comes after the equal sign, that we are trying to work out. So we're usually trying to work out the bit that comes after the equal sign. However, in today's maths puzzles, we already have the answer, and we already have one of the numbers that went into the sum. And what we're being asked to find out is the other number that went in. So we're being asked to find out an unknown value. So we know that there should be another number here, but we're basically being asked to fill in the blank. Now in order to do this, you really need to develop quite a good understanding of number. So you need to be good at adding and subtracting numbers from one another and knowing which two numbers will go together in some way in order to make another number. So what have we actually got here? We've got 3 plus star equals 8. And the star is our unknown number. Now, effectively, all we're being asked to do is fill in that blank. We need to ask ourselves, what does that star mean? In other words, 3 plus what makes 8? So what we could do is we could start at 3 and count on, even on our fingers if we needed to, and think how much more do we need to add in order to get to 8? And the answer is 5. This number here must be a 5. If I wrote out 3 plus 5 equals 8, that would make sense. That would be an expression, a sum that makes sense. So that means that in this case, our star is 5. 5 was our unknown sum here. So this time, we have a slightly different problem. Slightly bigger numbers, but not much more challenging. So we've got star plus 15 equals 24. So I'm being told that I have an unknown thing, but when I add 15 to it, I get 24. Now that's really just the same as before, written another way round. So I could be asking myself, if I start at 15, how much more do I need to count on to get to 24? So we can do that. We could count up in ones, or we could use our number bonds to do that, and that might be a little bit quicker. So I know if I take 15 and I add 5 to it, I get to 20, and then I add another 4 to it, and I'll get to 24. So I added 5 and a 4 there, and this is just kind of what I'm doing in my head to get there. So a 5 and a 4, that was 9, which means that 9 plus 15 equals 24. So now I've worked out what the star was. The star is 9 in this case. So really all it is filling in the blanks. What does that star mean? In this case, it means 9. So here's a similar problem, slightly bigger numbers again, but this time I'm noticing a subtraction sign in this problem. So I've got 30 take away something equals 21. So let's write this out. 30 take away a star, our unknown, equals 21. Now, this time, we're starting with 30, and if we take something away with it, we're going down to 21. So, if we're thinking what strategies could we use here, well, counting backwards could be one of our strategies. So we're going from 30 here, take away something makes 21. So I'm going to count backwards from 30 until I get to 21. So if I do that, what I should get is 9. So going 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21. That is a total of 9 tally marks I made there, so that was 9 places we counted back. Which means that 30 take away 9 is 21. So our star here is equal to 9. Here's a similar one, but the star is at the start of our subtraction sum here. So we have star take away 6 equals 13. So we know that we have something that we don't know, and when we take 6 away from it, we end up with 13. But we want to know what we had in the first place. What was this thing that we started off with, that when we took 6 away, it was 13? Well, we know it has to be bigger than 13. It has to be bigger than 13 because when we take 6 away from it, it comes down to 13. So it must have been bigger. So what we can do is we can add that 6 back on. We took away the 6, so now we add it back on and we're going to work out what it is. So something take away 6 is 13. I'm going to go from 13 and count up 6 stations. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That's 6 stations I've counted up. And it got us to 19. So 19 take away 6 equals 13. And so our answer for star, the star here, equals 19. Now in this next one, we're going to have to rely on our understanding of times tables. But if we know our times tables, this should be no challenge at all. So we know that 3 times something equals 24. Now all we really need to do here is say our 3 times table. If we say our 3 times table, we'll eventually get to the answer of this. So we could even write out our stations if we wanted, until we find 3 times what equals 24. So 3 times 1 is 3, then we have times 2 is 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. Hey, we got to 24. How many stations was it? Well, we had 1, times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6, times 7, times 8. 3 times 8 was 24. So if I write that out, that is now a sum that makes sense, or an expression that makes sense. So in this problem, star equals 8. So a final one, and this one's division. Again, it's just times tables knowledge. So we're being told 28 divided by something equals 7. So we're looking for something that we can divide 28 by to equal 7. Now we could do our 7 times table and just do it until we get up to 28, and that will tell us how many stations we had to divide it by. Okay, so we write out our 7 times table. We have 7, 14, 21, 28. Right, we got there. So that was 7 times 1, 7 times 2, 7 times 3, 7 times 4. So that means that 28 divided by 4 equals 7. And so for this particular sum, our star equals 4. Now, for these problems, I've used the symbol of a star to represent these. But really, we could use anything. We could use another picture, we could use letters to represent it. And when we do that, it's referred to as algebra. So this is the first step in the journey to understanding algebra. If you feel like you've grasped this, then feel free to watch the next video in which this idea is taken a little bit further. Cheers, guys!